What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How are we doing today? I am Mighty Fine Times, and I have returned to my PC once again. Today, we have hopped back on Tier Maker, and we are ranking S through F every single final evolution of each starter Pokemon, generations 1 through 9. So the last couple tier lists I've done, some of y'all have loved it, some of y'all have hated it. I know this is going to make some of you happy, piss some of you off. I really don't care. This is my opinion. But anyway, let's hop into it. Everyone like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you need to do. We're on the road to 300 subs. It'd be greatly appreciated. And let's jump into this. Alright, so we'll just go in order, because I really don't care. Let's start with Samurott. So, I played Generation 5 about 3 or 4 times, and both in Black and White and in Black and White 2, I picked Samurott. Samurott was a GOAT. He's not S tier, I would say he's A tier, but he was a solid water type. He had some coverage. I remember mine had Surf. It had like X Scissor on it. We had some other moves. He was rolling Toxic. He was actually a pretty solid dude. It's a good one to start this off. He's going at A. The reason I can't put him any higher, any lower, there wasn't anything like too special about him that will throw him up an S. But then again, he did his job. He was the guy that got me through a lot of fights early on. So it was pretty good. And then he swept through the Elite Four. So he was just a solid dude. Next, we got Mr. Rillaboom. That's right. Rillaboom, I picked him one time. When I played through Shield, he was actually pretty good. He had whatever his signature move is. Again, he was a solid dude. He's going to go in A again. I only used him one time, but in the one time I did use him, he slayed. He was a nice little grass type. He had some grass moves. He had some other coverage, some normal coverage, couple other moves. I really liked it. Let's scatter around this. I already know one of these. Meganium is going in F. Meganium is horrible. Listen, I don't care what you tell me. Meganium is the worst starter Pokemon of all time. We got Legend ZA coming out soon, and this thing right here, this thing is butt cheeks. No one is picking Meganium in the entire time. Like, for when Soul Silver and Heart Gold and when Gold and Silver came out, I have never seen someone pick Chikorita. Meganium is just butt cheeks. That's where it's staying. That's where it will stay. You know, whatever. All right, Primarina caught my eye. I'm not going to lie. Primarina's going in S. So I played through Sun, Moon, and I played through Ultra Moon. I didn't ever play through Ultra Sun. But I did choose Primarina all 3 of the times, or any more that I played through it. Primarina is a nice water fairy type. It gets a lot of water moves, some nice fairy coverage. It gets some normal type moves. It can learn Energy Ball too. That was a big one that threw me off. Energy Ball, it can cover some other water types too. Like low key, this is one of the perfect starters. The only problem I had with it was it really couldn't handle poison types. I know because of that fairy dual typing, that's a weakness of its, but you know, Primarina could handle everything else in every situation. There was multiple times I threw it up in fights that it shouldn't have won, and it took it down. Primarina is the first one that's going in S. I don't know how many more are going to go up there, but that's where it's staying. All right, let's get another favorite of mine out of the way. So, of all time, my favorite Pokemon is Blastoise. I got a PSA 10 Blastoise, first edition, sitting on the other side of my room. It's in a little glass case, but I will just say Blastoise is like C tier. I love the thing, but with it being a Gen 1 starter, there is not a lot you could do with it. Like, even if you pick it in red, blue, yellow, or green, or whether you go with fire red or leaf green, or whether you go with having it on your team in the Kanto region for Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, there's really not a lot that it could do. It's got nice water moves. Whether you want Surf or you want Hydro Pump on it, you know, I mess with it. But besides that, man, it really can't do much. It's a bulky turtle. Like I had a Blastoise that had Hydro Pump, it had Ice Beam, I think it had Earthquake, and it had Toxic on it. But that was really all it was good for. If you threw it against a grass type or an electric type, Blastoise was going down. Like, he's bulky, but that's really about the only thing he's good for. Even though he's my favorite Pokemon, that's really as high as I can put him. So that's where he's going to stay. All right, you know, let's just start getting some of the Gen 1s out the way since I just did Blastoise. Let's talk about Charizard. Charizard, I would say, is a solid... Where do we want to throw him? I'm thinking about B or A. Let's think about this. if you chose Charizard, he's got nice fire attacks. You put Flamethrower on him or Fire Blast. He's got Fly unless you're playing through Gen 1. He gets like Metal Claw too. So yeah, we'll throw him in B. I don't feel Charizard deserves an A because it's a it's a starter Pokemon, but there's certain limitations to Charizard with Gen 1. If you pick Charmander, you are like screwed from the beginning because you're down against Brock with his rock types. You're screwed against Misty because she's got water types. And then by the time you get to Surge, you should already have other Pokemon. So, picking Charmander probably ain't the best choice if you're playing any of the Kanto games. But still, Charizard is a solid dude. I mean, he's got nice fire and flying attacks. He's got some other coverage. But yeah, solid dude. Let's get Feraligatr out of the way. Feraligatr caught my eye. I played through Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and then the remakes. And I think every single time, besides a couple, I chose Feraligatr. And let me just talk to you about this. The first time I ever played through Gold on my Game Boy, this dude absolutely swept through the game because I was like 9 years old and I figured out there was no EXP share yet. So I had Waterfall or Surf, whichever one it was. I had like Ice Fang, like Crunch or Bite, whichever one it gets. I think it also gets Toxic. So it had a decent little moveset. He could also go in B. But again, it's kind of the same concept with like Blastoise. You know, okay, he's probably going to be a low B, but it's kind of the same concept with Blastoise. He's just a bulky water type. There's not a lot that you could do with him. I mean, he swept through the Elite Four with Surf. I remember that. Like, it was just, he was level 50 or 60 or something like that. It was just Surf, 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 Surf. And then the occasional Ice Beams on like the flying types. But besides that, that's really all he was good for. I think we all knew this one was coming. Incineroar is also going in the S tier. And the reason why I'm putting him there, if I have to talk to you anything about Incineroar, you obviously don't know who this dude is. He is a Fire Dark type, wonderful base stats, has probably the best ability in this game. The third or second time that I played through Ultra Moon, I picked Incineroar, something along those lines. I always pick Primarina, but I picked Incineroar for the last one. And this dude absolutely swept. You have wonderful fire coverage for for that special attack, and then he's got his physical attack too for that Darkest Lariat. You send him out into the field, everybody always starts with a -1 in attack, that little Intimidate. Like, this is one of the starters that I would consider to be like the very best. If you watch any like competitive gameplay for Pokemon, everybody has Incineroar. Do you know how good it is when you throw a Pokemon out onto the field and the opposite team always starts with a -1 in physical attack? Like, that is beautiful. Incineroar, like I said, he has great typing, great stats, a great ability, just a great Pokemon overall. He's just wonderful. And let's finish off the Alola trio. We'll go with the Decidueye. Very nice grass and ghost type. I always liked whatever his signature move was, 1,000 arrows or whatever it was. I never used him in like an actual playthrough, so that's probably why he's going to go in we'll go with like a low A for now. But he's a really solid dude. Every time that when I did choose Incineroar and then he got Decidueye or vice versa when I chose Primarina and I always had to deal with Decidueye, it was never a tough battle. But he had some nice coverage, had a couple good moves. I'd say it's fair to put him in like a low A or a high B spot. That's perfectly fine with me. Another thing I got to address. So we have the Gen 3 starters. Where are they at? There's Swampert, there's Blaziken, and then there's Sceptile. This is the only generation where I consider no matter which one of the starters you pick, whether it's Sceptile, Blaziken, or Swampert, you are getting an amazing playthrough no matter what. Swampert is obviously the best choice. I am putting Swampert in the S tier. Listen, if you have ever played through Hoenn and you've picked Swampert, it is such a wonderful ride. He learns Stab Earthquake, Stab Surf, and then you got Toxic, you have Ice Beam. You could teach him so many things in the game that makes it so easy for you. And like I said, no matter which one you pick, whether you pick Blaziken, Blaziken is a wonderful firefighting type. You can have Flamethrower on him, or you can run him the physical side. You could do like Brick Break, you could do Fire Punch. There's so many Fire Fang, whatever you want to do. There's so many wonderful things that you could do with the Gen 3 starters. Even if you pick like Sceptile, you have wonderful grass type moves. He learns a lot of other coverage. It's actually really beautiful. So this is these are the 3 starters like where I can comfortably put them up in the S and A tier. Listen, every time that I play through Emerald, or whether I'm playing Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire or just regular Ruby and Sapphire, I always pick Swampert because this dude is wonderful against almost like half of the gyms or more. And whether you go with these guys, any of them, these are the most balanced out trio I have ever seen. And then when you get into rival battles too, like I always pick Swampert. As we all know, Swampert is 4 times weak to Sceptile. If it gets hit with a blade of grass, Swampert is dying. But therefore, we got the Ice Beam as coverage. And like by then, I should have other Pokemon to swap out with. Maybe I'll throw in like a Fire type or a Flying type, whatever I need to, Poison type or a Bug type, whatever works to deal with Sceptile. But overall, that is like, these 3 are the most balanced trio I have ever seen. All right, let's do the Gen 4 starters next. Gen 4 was the first ever game that I played, so we'll do this. Infernape. So, as we all know, in Gen 4, there's no fire types. Like, literally, you have Infernape and you have Rapidash, and maybe Magmortar if you can find one. Like a Magby evolved into Magmar into Magmortar. So, but this is probably your best bet for the Gen 4 fire starter. Yeah, you can go up in A. So, if you ran an Infernape like I did every time you played Gen 4, he has a wonderful type combination, that firefighting. I know there's 3 of them right there that do, but like I always used to run close combat or brick break depending on how I wanted to run it. I would run flamethrower, or I would run like fire punch or fire fang or whatever. He gets a lot of nice moves, a lot of nice coverage, and since he's the only fire type in the game, this is probably your best bet for a Gen 4 starter. Like, I remember the first time I picked Empoleon, that was kind of a mistake because I didn't have a fire type on my team. That was really bad. Since we're talking about Empoleon can go in B. He is the only dude in the game to have water steel typing. Like, that is beautiful. Empoleon gets Stab Surf. He gets a lot of, steel type moves. He's got Metal Claw, Flash Cannon. He's a really bulky Pokemon. He's actually better than these 2, I would say. He can go in like a really high B, but I'm not giving him any more than a high. All right, I guess that's where it's gonna stay. But yeah, Empoleon, he was a really solid dude. I had a level, I think it was 60 Empoleon walking into the Elite Four. I named him Cookie, and this dude swept. Like, he did such an amazing job. He was just Surf. He was Metal Clawing. He was getting that +1 in the attack. I think I had Flash Cannon on him too when I was like 10 years old, whatever the case may be. He was a pretty solid dude. And then what's the other one? Torterra? Let's think about this. Torterra, the grass and ground type. Grass is a pretty common type in Sinnoh. That ground typing's pretty nice. You got Stab Earthquake. You could do Leaf Storm too. Where are we thinking? But then again, Torterra has a lot of weaknesses too. When you get to Candace with the Ice Gym leader, if you get hit one time, you're dying. I did a lot of Nuzlocks. I never chose this dude for Gen 4. I always chose Infernape. So that's where I kind of stand with him. I guess I'll finish the Gen 5 trio. Listen, I don't have a lot to say about Servine. That's Superior. I don't have a lot to say about Superior. It's a grass type. From every time that I've battled it, it seems like it's just kind of a plain grass. It doesn't have any dual typings either. Oh wait, does it? No, it doesn't. Yeah, it's just a plain grass type with some nice grass moves. I don't know if it gets any coverage or not. It really doesn't look like it. With all the other dual types, like with Torterra, it gets that ground typing. I'm pulling out with the steel moves, Charizard with the flying moves. I never once chose Superior, and I don't blame myself for it. It just looks like a plain starter. And then Embor's the other one, because I already have, who's the Gen 5? Samurott. You can go in A2. You're a good one. I chose Tepig, evolved into Embor. Like I said, pretty solid fire and fighting type. It's kind of the same situation with Fernape. He's a really bulky dude. You can run physical moves on him. So it's just really nice. He's a hard hitter. He could take hits well. If you throw him up against a water type or a flying type, you might be in a little bit of trouble. But besides that, he's a nice dude, nice starter. Can't complain. All right, let's get these other 2 fire types down here out the way. So one of these I love, one of these I hate. Typhlosion, you can go up in A. I used you for my first Soul Silver playthrough. You did very well. You had really nice fire type moves. In Johto, you swept through my team, or swept through other teams. You were like the leader of my team. Congratulations to you, Typhlosion. I remember you had a great move set. You got me through a lot of tough battles. You can go up there. Delphox, on the other hand, Delphox is going to go in like a high C. I can't lie. Like, since I always chose where is he? Chestnut for Gen 6, and I chose Greninja. I always had to deal with Delphox one way or another, and it just kind of like always let me down, I'm not gonna lie. It was never tough. I know it's a special attacker with the fire and the psychic moves, but like it really never seemed that much of a challenge. Every time I played it competitive play, it was never really a threat. So that's where I'm gonna stick it. And then Greninja, you could also go up in S2. This was the one thing that carried me through Gen 6 when I played. Wonderful water dark type. It gets the water shuriken move, and then also with the Ash battle bond thing in Gen 7, that was really nice to have. It was so wonderful. It swept through a lot of teams for me. It gets wonderful coverage moves. I had Surf, I had Ice Beam, I had Dark Pulse to make people flinch. It was honestly really great. So you're gonna stay up there. And then we got our couple boys left. Venusaur, you could also go in A tier. I'm fine with putting it here. This is probably your best bet for picking a starter if you're playing a Gen 1 game. Sweeps through Brock because it's a grass type, defeats the rock types. Misty defeats the water types because it's a grass type, and then by Surge, you should have other Pokemon, like I said. Chestnut, I'm going to get a lot of crap for this, but Chestnut was also one of my favorites. It's going up in A. Nice little grass fighting type. It is 4 times weak to flying. I understand that, but it's a very bulky man. Every time I used him and I came up against a fire type or a flying type, I would always just spiky shield and then use whatever move I had for coverage. Because in Gen 6, there's so much XP, it's not even funny. So I always was super over leveled with Chestnut, and he was great. He did this. And the last two, you can go in like a higher B tier, and you can go in like the A tier. Inteleon, I only played Sword and Shield like twice, maybe 3 times, but every time Inteleon always came through for me. His Gigantamax form is nice. He's really a plain water type. I had what did I have on him? I had his Snipe Shot, whatever it's called. That was a good move. I had U-Turn. I don't know why I remember that, but I had U-Turn. I had Ice Beam too, and then I upgraded that to Blizzard. It was a solid move. And then I never chose what's his name? With the Libro. Wait, why can't I think of it? No. What's his name? The soccer player. He's right there. Why can't? Okay, but you know what I'm talking about. Cinderace. That's it. Cinderace. I never chose Cinderace, but I always remember dealing with him in Pyro Ball. Pyro Ball's a pretty solid move. I get it that he gets a lot of coverage moves and all that, so that's why he's going up in A. So this is where we sit with the tier list. Nothing got D. We got one F because it's the worst starter of all time, which is why I guarantee you no one's going to pick it in Legends ZA. But this is what we're going with. So every time I pick a playthrough, it's always going to be one of these Pokemon in S or A. It's really never going to be something down here. Blastoise is my favorite. I always pick him, but he really doesn't have any other things to him. So like, sub, do whatever you need to do, and we will see y'all in the next one.